that's fine. I got it. Drinking Steve one night. Yeah, he got the new man. Drop it off.
Reach all the way over here with everything else. Extension cord.
Just to stay up tight or not.
Yeah. Have to leave it on. Well, you might as well, yeah, just go ahead and unplug it.
Let's see here. There we go. You want it like all the way up on the screen or just?
Yeah, so the more the picture, the better that screen. You may have to lower it down or do something. Put this on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, that can Well, we did that one at Casey. There's only like 3 people. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. Oh, okay.
thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Gary Hall, John, Please Age, Product Director, that's where I'm from. This is for you guys, so a small group. If you have questions, something, if you want to go down, or you want to go down, today's the day. Got two of our guys here, we got two parts guys, that's here, we got Adam Floyd, Justin Neely, Adam from the truck now, so he's my area, parts manager, Keith, sales manager, Ryan from marketing, some guys probably haven't met Sam Custer, he's a new salesman, he's been here for the best side for 130. You guys on that side, you can come around. We're gonna start out going with McDonald, so I'll turn it over to Brian Hart.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day in corn country, right? Soybean country, that's for me. We'll briefly get up here and walk around this unit. Just a little history on John here. I've been with the company 2 years in August. We got our 76-year business. We produced our first harvest setter in 1988. First scraper head. In 2004, we came out with our flex scraper, so like 2062, you remember that on the K side. 2007, we released the FD set. It really revolutionized the scraper head market, and we've been doing it since then. We now have the 72, and then in 2025 here at Farm Progress Show, we're actually going to release our FD2 Plus to the public for the first time. So the FD2 Plus is FD2 with a flex cutter bar. We kind of, this is just a regular FD2 here. So we're going to produce this header for the foreseeable future. We're going to make two heads from now on. So, with that, we'll get up and we'll go around by the ladder of the combine, and we'll just kind of go walk around on service stuff, and we'll kind of show you some features of this FD2. I guess show of hands, the FD70, 75, customer feedback, FD1, 75, okay, FD1, couple of others in FD2, okay, we got a couple of everything. So let's go around the back side of the chair, and walk. Feel free to ask any questions throughout the whole process. Cancel it. here on our stone, you'll notice that what's all over the stone room, we have a dim wall, we have 4 sound licenses, lighting, better feed, we look back to some of the pictures, all of them, so if you go into the front there, we've got all the pictures, we no longer support those, so we both have a solid picture on that. We also want to make sure we remove those covers, look inside that drum, make sure everything looks good. That is something that we can tell on very down the road. Really, that's a big inside there, yeah, good. Also need that big drum there, up here, we've got an active side there to do that on the combine, back side, so open that cover up, inspect that thing, there. Also, break that thing there, see if it's okay, it's not going. Check the engine, you want everything to hold really over. Tight. What's going on this place? Across here. And you go over. On the older units, we have to access that idle spot. Alright, center belt, so we've also got center belt, white kind of hairs or whatever, the belt looks like it's white, so they are layered. So basically you've got black, layer of white, another layer of black. That second layer of white, black with another white, probably have a whole we got part one longevity, but this is getting all scrapped. We'll try to go through 1 or 2 of these for every side. We also want to check that drain tension. So the center one is the voltage, so not on either side. So there is an indicator coming in there, right indicator. Make sure the light is ready to run that. We're sure we're not dog. Alright, so also we have daily research. The battery on and the bearing on the back and our service. Questions so far? Sure. Yep. Yep, so yeah, so there is a shaft across there, PN shaft. And the reverse is on the right side. We did update that clutch and we have a much stronger magnet in there. Look inside, that's what we play with both those access covers, goes across there. There's nothing stuck in there. Don't put your wires on it because it's a strong match, okay? So check that reversing clutch. Another tip, on the side is hell. It's great, but mainstay, stay green. Sometimes you gotta do a lot of the first one. But sometimes I can put stress on your clutch. The easiest way to make sure your clutch is still good, put stuff on the center, because basically the bottom was put in, that means the reversing clutch is still in. Makes sense? Everything on that other reversing clutch works. Basically the reversing clutch. So right now they're not in the front, because that reversing clutch 70-75. Bad luck if that happened. Every outside finger. Coming this way, watch your heads. Something we noticed last year, we were talking about when we tried to you were seeing some chatter. Reel is probably the most important part on the trade because if you're running the reel too low, you're essentially defeat the purpose of having the trade. Okay? We're going to trade a crop and try to recycle it, right? So we want the reel only touching the top 2 inches of that crop. I like to learn to as far up and out as humanly possible. As far up and out as you can stand it, right? I'm not telling you, with your brand new draper and your brand new combine, and you're starting to feel, you just rented this year, that we want that reel all the way up and all the way out. Don't do that. If you want it down, we're starting that field. Usually we're creeping along versus opening that field up, right? Going in for the first time. Okay, so run it down, let this open up the field, and as you're running, just keep raising it up, keep going out with it. We just want to break in the top 2 inches of that crop in a good standing crop condition. Obviously, we have a down situation. We need to make an adjustment, run it lower, things like that. We can also adjust the reel cam position. We need to do this on any connector. Essentially, undo the lock, and we can put our multi-tool on here. They come out of the factory too. The higher the number, the more aggressive the reel is. By more aggressive, I mean it goes down further in front of the cutter bar, carries it further onto the brake. So, most everybody's got a double reel once you got a 25 footer. And you're just seeing a lot of beans popping out, doing different things. It may be a good idea to stop and adjust one reel, just adjust one. And see if this side of the machine feeds any better than the other side that you didn't change. Okay? Don't get scared to do that. It's not gonna hurt you. But if it can help you get more bushels into that combine, yeah, definitely do. Run for a little bit and see if it can change. Okay? It's not gonna hurt you. But again, it comes out of the factory too. That's a pretty neutral setting. If we have a down crop situation, definitely put it into a higher setting. Make sure it locks in too. Okay. There we go. So there we're back to all the same. But definitely very crucial. That reel will lose you more beans than anything else on this machine. So it drives you crazy if you jump in the machine and guys run it all the way down. Just straight out to 30-20 and you've got a brand new draper and as soon as this thing doesn't feed with the crap, well, the reel's all the way down. So it's just recycling. You can't hold the reel system. So it's trying to flip over and then come back around. If you got it too low, it's just going to drag you down. Okay? So up and out as far as you can. And like I said, again, disclaimer, every field is different, every day is different, every variety is different. You got to go with what works for you. That's why we got the controls right here. So make those adjustments all day long. Let's see here. So over on this side, really nothing to see. We've got the 90-grad gearbox and a grease bird here. Same situation as the left side. Change that after 50 hours and every 1,500 after that. And how many pumps of grease every 25 hours? 25 pumps. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, don't do that. We will not work you that. So, yep, you got it. Coming around here, same texture as on the other side. And then you got really nice box right here. Operating on this side here. We also got a quick card. This is going to be initial settings and also float and balance. Good idea to touch on the rest of the quick card. Grab that and go to the gas. Beneficial. Have to get mine ready. So, a couple other things. We do have the upper lower latch. anybody come on FT75 if you want, but usually somebody raise their hand and I say how to go and they say how to go. It's usually how it goes. And that's usually what they say. So this way with this down here, these things are a lot easier to make these adjustments. Really all you need is 15 millimeter, 30 millimeter, and then 4 millimeter. That's a little bit of common sense. Actually, for video. But I'm not going to walk you through the whole procedure right now. I'm going to go one-on-one with you if you want to see it. But essentially what we do is, what's float? Float is this, that's how the razor flows. So background, yep, okay. Float onto the razor. So the float is carrying all the weight of the down the work across the float. Wing balance is how the wing reacts, how it's going to flex across the wheel. If it's heavy, if it's light, it affects how you're flexing, it affects your wear. So that's not set correctly. Yeah, probably have some problem, right? We're going to call it physical wear and on the line down the road. So it's a good idea to put hands on this stuff. Double check it. It is mechanical, it does set it up, especially when you have a new problem. Simple wheels, they run like this. So to do it, we're always going to do the float first. Take our 15, keep it, and go frame. Okay, so hold that one first. That's typical thing. Break this over the top of the neck. Break this all the way over. It's going to give us a number. You over there and unlock the break this over and give us a value on the numbers up here. That's going to tell us the position. Another one on FT75, we got that wrench sitting over here. we don't want the flex cuts once we got comfort. But we want to unlock the float because we're in contact with the curves. Perfectly flat. It's okay.
So, there's a lot. Copy different copies. So, wait, right. Yeah, that's the most common. So you probably take it off already. Yeah, it's that common. It's dry. We ran those models we pay at. And very well. They were really well. Yeah, I've got some pictures. And there's a project. It doesn't. It's we have the different lights now. So I haven't ran a 12. Yeah. So, we're going to that in a while. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was understanding all that time now. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you're trying to get yeah, so well done actually. And then also where you open up the sound.
came out, but she was shopping, that's the guy, the one that did the shopping.
Yeah, there's one guy that wants to big picture. And then they ran it. Oh, there you go. I'd be curious to see, because I don't know that. Which one is this? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we Well, that's the other part of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had to buy Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, especially I mean, I get it. You're trying to. I mean, that's like the track. I guess we're.
But if you have a green hot bed, you have an issue
Yeah, yeah. Tactical training. Here to train.
Better than the snake, right?
Yeah, tactical training.
How's it going, guys? So, like he said, my name's Vernon Prawn with Iowa Fabrications. We do the combine wear parts partner with CNH Reman. Some of you guys may have used us in the past or had to keep put some of our stuff in. I'll try and keep this short and sweet, but who we are is Iowa Fabrications. We started off the farm, so Mike and Brian Iowa, they farm 5,500 acres out just north of Des Moines, Iowa. They have one blacktop 8-10 combine. How many guys have had a blacktop or anything with the steel elbow tube, or the steel elbow? Like a 5088 or a 91 point. Well, Mike and Brian, they had an unfortunate experience going through the field, going across where they just put some drainage tile in, unload tube, started to do this, and all of a sudden it fell down and landed on the drain pipe. Went to the local case dealer, said $14,000 for the drain tank, about the same amount to get the drain tank replaced with labor, and they said about 3 weeks. Well, if that happens, you guys know the hardest way you guys got to do it. You're probably going to laugh at you, right, and say absolutely not, we'll figure something else out. So that's what Mike and Brian did. They made a liner for that. Everything built back up, and within 3 days, they're back out harvesting corn. 2021, we moved out of the farm shop into the facility you see there. So originally, it was just this part over here off to the side. That was originally a 67,000 square foot. We since doubled that, just because of the way we've grown over the last couple of years. We started in that building with 6 employees. Now we have 60. So just in 5-6 short years, really expand a lot. 2022, we started the Reman Cone partnership, and then in 2023, we went all in with CNH Reman. And that wasn't a dig at you guys, because I know some of you guys had ordered stuff from us direct in the past, but it was more to get stuff available to everybody, to the dealership, to make sure you're aware of it, to make sure you guys had easier access to items. So what we use when it comes to steel, we use several steels, stainless, some mild, some AR200, but what we really love to use wherever we can, we use Hardox and Strengths. So Hardox is a mining grade steel. It's been used in everything from dig buckets, cutting edges, scraper pans, everything like that for the last 50 years. But the big reason we use it when it's in a liquid state, they degas and bring all the impurities up to the surface to make sure you're getting a true 450 or 500 hardness of the steel. Versus if you look, we had Iowa State actually test the different plate steel, regular AR plate, it's supposed to be 450, but it's actually as low as 398. So that's where you're going to get some of that inequality or uneven wear throughout the machine, especially when you just go local repair shop and just ask for a plate steel. You're never going to be getting a pure piece of steel like you could with parts. The other thing with us partnering with CNH Reman, we also have a 24-month warranty on all of our parts there. So anything that you guys install or if you have Keith installed or the guys in the shop install, you get a 24-month warranty. Basically what we're going after for you guys with all of our parts, we want something that's going to last longer for you, prevent drain from leaking out of the ground. You know, talking to one guy before, he looked at the 1020 boot laying over there, he's like, yeah, patch that before, duct tape, glove, whatever you got laying there to fix the holes. So we're just trying to make sure you can get as much of that grain to market, but also save you guys some money on the repair side as well. So as far as what we can do for you, I mean, if you look through our catalog, we've used for stuff before, you can see we've got everything from an upgrade kit for the feeder house tensioning kit, the new tilt plate for up on the feeder house, access source for the feeder house, so any guys flagship, the old 6-volt doors, uses those 20 pin up, right? You use to go up there with a piece of duct tape or a sheet metal screw. Actually, probably you can see it themselves when the combines come in, right? We out for a little bit heavy duty door, chain guides, stripper plates for the mid-ranges for the later legacy machines. We'll also have the flagship stripper plates coming up here soon, and feeder house for the hard house. So some of these pictures here, they'll just show you the quick pictures, what everything will look like after, before and after. So there will be your tilt plate right up front. Like I said, that's the easiest part for everybody to point out to the farmer to see yourself with the combines in here and see when they're getting wore out. Feeder house floors, how many guys have been a professional rock picker before? Nobody? Nobody picked up a rock through the combine? Alright. I was going to say, somebody had to. So you can see the before and after, instead of pushing the whole floor, you just got a sheet and just blow the rolls over the existing. Chain guys, you can see when they get mushroomed down, there's those edges way down the top, that chain will kind of walk across that drum just to keep everything straight. Next thing you know, you have a chain on the jump, having issues with that. So that's why the chain guys up front are a little bit important. And then moving on to transition cones, like I said, this is the first part we ever brought to CNH. So we either have the cone liner kit for the large frame legacy or the flagship, or we can tell you complete reman cone. So the first thing is what we're going after. Everybody's seeing on the flagship, you get that whole 9 o'clock position in your cone, right? You're staring at it, it goes from that first set of rat party direction inside the cone. So you can either A, do the cone liner kit yourself, B, put the cone in, or C, have them do the cone liner kit, whatever you want to do. But the big thing is, you're just not wanting to have that hole there. You want to get that kind of cleaned out. The other thing is, if you take your old cones back to the fork, you can draw 4 credits on those cones. As long as they meet all the 4 criteria, they don't have holes larger than 5 inches. You quickly fit through it. We have seen some that have that, yes. So, and then we also do have a video that's on our YouTube and on the Reman YouTube that walks you through everything to do with the reman cone. Just for time's sake today, I will play that. But if you guys want to see it, if you want some more information on any of this stuff, just get with me afterwards here. Other things we got, so we started offering a vertical tool and a cone pulling attachment for it. This is for any of those guys that want to work on their own equipment or have been working on it in the past. You know, pulling the rotor sometimes can be a little chaotic, especially if you don't have the right tool for it. So with our tool, what's set up as, you can pull a flagship rotor, pull it right any colors. Simple. As far as then going to pull the cone, you pull the head off, you put on the different cone pulling attachments, pull right to the base of the cone. Roll it out, like talk to any technicians, big thing with the cones, you won't be able to turn them at 15 degrees, especially on the flagship. You have to rotate into place. Moving on to the next section, talk about your rotor access area. This is probably something you won't see a lot of issues, but I would like to touch on it just in case something does happen. You either do liners for the lower and upper fastening doors, or direct replacements, or even for the spring plate there on the front. Moving on to the next section, this is going to be one thing that's always simple to do. Talking about your not replacing the A-frame, but at least seeing where the wear is. So it's really simple to get a combine like this, and you can just poke your head up inside there and look where the cone, the cage, and the A-frame all come together. And a lot of times what you'll end up seeing, you'll see this little corner start to wear out, and you can actually see through to the rotor itself right there. So that's where we offer a little 4x10 plate that you can rebuild the H-frame. If it's only that corner, then you'll be fine. You can just drop the H-frame down, walk in the machine, cut out the old, pull our plate in, bring it back. Highly concave, so you guys saw back there, I have one concave with us, but we do offer large bar and round bar. As far as round bar, our round bar is just 16 millimeter. We don't have 25 millimeters yet. But as far as comparing them to C&H's, we just double E3Rs, so a little bit more longevity out of the round bars themselves. But with our large bar, what we're trying to prevent is that thinning and trash buildup effect that you see a lot of times with other large bars. Just everything kind of gets stuck in there, can't be cleaned out. Well, so like you see, the corn gets stuck there on the trash. Not kind of speed this forward, but this is just, you're just getting set up in a new field, it's like a GoPro inside there, just so you can see your count cage. So you can kind of see, you got the trash already inside there, it's kind of stuck in there. I'll skip forward a little bit because it's a 3-minute long video. You can see as soon as the rotor starts to spin, that trash is gonna get cleared out, pushed through the back, as soon as you get any material going through there. See with the little bit larger axis than normal large wire, it's not as close to the skip wire, but it's kind of in between. You can see you have plenty of room for all the corn and even some of the fiber to get through. I always like to skip about here just so you can see nice 300 bushel Iowa corn. I know you guys have some of that around here. So. Anyways, those are our new concaves. I mean, Mike and Brian have been personally running those concaves for 10 years on their farm because they finally decided to bring them on. Moving on to the transport cage. For the flagships, we can do a transport cage for the 10 to the 40 series, or we can do cage liners from all the way back to your 1460 all the way up through your new 8260. So, with the cage liners, though, I always like to point out, it's normally with a hole like that on the cage where it's foot long, you can put the fist through it pretty easy. Most techs would even say, hey, you gotta replace this cage liner. Well, we can offer a cage liner that just goes right over top of it. It's gonna be held in by the vanes, and it's gonna be welded down the side. That way you're not gonna have to worry about that whole 8-8 vane. It's gonna protect the cage a little bit better. So it's just a little bit different option, especially on a year like this where you don't know what the market's gonna do. Something like this happens, you keep on turning. Shaker pan liners. Another thing that just having combine toward this part, that's all you need to do to be able to install those. Goes right on top of the existing grain pan. just one of the things where you had a ton of kid come free or get busted loose that ran rock through, knocked it out, then the drain pan, and now everything's kind of what the cell of that then, right? And now you can rebuild it back and do it without having to have a tech replace that drain pan. If you've ever had to replace a drain pan, it's not a fun job, is it? You got to gut the entire machine front to back to be able to get that drain pan. Clean drain, return drain. We offer a kit for both the clean and return side, where you can line the door, or you can buy this clean drain only side, or you can buy the patch kits. Patch kits I always put a little cautionary tale on. I like to see those used more as just a patch during harvest. If you start to notice the drain leaking out right there by that clean out door, that's where the patch kit can be a little bit better option. But if you're having Berkey's do it during the CMIs, I'm do the full kit just because, you know, especially if you don't get all the drain out drain tank, sitting with shop all winter, and drain starts to rot, all that moisture is kind of something right where the lowest point on the power line. So that's where I always say, just do the full kit, nice stainless, it's not gonna rust like what's currently in there, so. You can see right there, just a little 309 stainless rust now for you. 10-inch processors, we can either offer you a kit or we can offer you a complete housing. The complete housing will be made 100% out of hard ox except for the brackets where it mounts the combine. Those have to be mount sealed. It's a shear point on the combine. That whole thing is rigid, it's tracked. Clean drain elevator system. So like I said earlier, you can see I got a boot back there that's pre-lined, or you can buy the kit yourself, plug it in. I would say for you guys, unless you want to mess with it, just buy the pre-done kit, save yourself a headache. But between the boots, we also have heads pre-lined, and we also have stainless steel elevator lines. Going all the way back to 2366. For your boots, but you can always see, you get that little hole right there. Guys go through, try to weld it up, duct tape, gloves, baby weld, whatever they can do to keep drain from leaking out. Because at that point, it's going up your drain tank, right? You don't want drain leaking out around the nice yellow trail all the way back to the head. So that's why we offer this kit. So this is one kit that we are very confident saying that the hard ox kit will last 4 times longer than the boots. Because the boots just not. Same thing with the elevator head. Anybody that's running a flagship, you're probably used to that middle picture there. If you can see it, just start to crack out, it's really thin like octane, fold it over. Our headliner kit, you can do it out in the field, blunt out mobile welder with you. As far as all you have to do, you have to pull the top sprocket, flip the chain, just hang it there, and all the kids in, just plug all it against the head. That's all you got. Bubble liners, this is by far my favorite thing. It's something so simple I've also done on the Dash John Deere combine. It's so easy to see how it do it, right? So a lot of times you start to see, get holes up the top, some uneven wear, or if you let it go too far, literally just splits up. Most guys will throw that tube away, right? So far gone, the code material's gone. Tighten up in more than 10 minutes, so they call us, hey, this bubble, you guys learned? We said, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Bearing brackets are still there. All you gotta do is just cut out where it's bad, slide the liner down in, hold it in place, and then what we hold on one like that actually welds along the bearing bracket, make those rigid again. Other than that, back up and run. So something like that, probably gonna take an hour and a half to do versus just doing the liner itself, still on about 45 minutes. Bubble foggers, this is new as of last year. So we have the extended wear, we have a hard ox flighted mid-range, and we also have a hard ox flighted rice auger, we're calling it, but something that's went through a lot of bubble foggers for the flagship might be a good option for it. Start with the extended wear. It's 1/4-inch hard ox on top, so it'll look kind of like that black auger you see. I have it back there, that's 1/4-inch hard ox. And then the rest of it will be ultra flight, where the outer piece before the spline is thicker than the rest, with a little bit hard surface. We heat treat the splines, and we balance in-house. So everything's done 100% in-house, including machining the shaft where the bearing goes. And then as far as your rice and mid-range auger, you can see we'll use a 3/8 thick piece, and that'll go top and bottom on the rice. And then on the mid-range auger, it'll be 3/8 top and bottom and 1/4 inch. So it gives you a lot better protection. And then we also put a little bit of a shaft protector on there, just because we've had some guys say they started to wear a hole in their actual shaft to wear off. Moving on to our grain tanks, we have grain tank liners. Ours are ribbed in. Anybody that's here last year, I had to displace it out here for you guys to take a look at. But it's ribbed in instead of welding, because if you're welding, you leave a little pinholes up the grain tank, or you're just welding up top. What's underneath that grain tank? A bunch of dust. You can kind of So that's why we do it ribbed in. But we also offer an oversized set that will cover the entirety of the car. So anybody that's got a little machine that's getting a little bit worn down, starting to get some rust holes in it, we have tons of liners in there before. Oversized mounting unit makes this up. So it goes a little higher up, finds better material for it down to. It's going to build that drain tank back up a little bit more. Vertical unloading, we've got everything from your legacies with a stainless steel sump, three-line vertical liners made out of strengths, and we also offer the vertical liners for the flagships, whether it's your steel level machine or your cast. Because even these, we start to see some issues on that sump. That sump is a removable sump. It's a lot cheaper than just with your regular drain tank, like old machines, but this gives you different options. But the one thing I always like to point out, this is what basically happens in Mike Bryan's combine. So anybody with the steel level machines, what happens is as that elbow wears off that poly pad there, that's underneath the elbow, as that poly pad starts to wear away, or if it gets bound up, it'll start putting pressure on that sump. Well, next thing you know, the sump starts wearing down, you get pop cammed in, and it just folds over. The easiest way to see if that's happening, when you bring your unload tube out, if it's falling out of the saddle, or if it's struggling to get back up in, that's a good case where you might want to stop and just talk to Keith, because Keith has had some of his guys do some of his kids. So, vertical augers, same thing as the other ones. So these would be ultraflight top and bottom, a little bit different, but bouncing in-house, heat treat spline heads. So not too much to really say different there on those augers, but your horizontal tubes and extensions. So we are 30% thicker than all the other unload tubes and extensions that you'll get, whether it's from CNH and or other aftermarket. And on like the folding setups, if you have anybody that has a folding setup, we've actually went to a bigger grade steel as well. The other thing with these, and Keith has one in his office, but anybody that decides to, back into a tree, get a telephone pole, back in the barn because it's running too long, on the cast elbow, so like what you see here, we actually buy these flanges back for $300 a piece. So it's not all junk. Keith and the boys, they know to cut those off and get those set back, so just gotta keep that in mind. I'm going to put these pictures so you guys can make sure you know you're not the only ones that maybe catch something on, or catch a little tube on something, or hit a drain card, or catch a telephone wire. Moving on to the unload augers, which is what I have back there, half of a 7-foot auger. These would be 1/4-inch hard on spline top and bottom. Also going with the unload augers, we also have your full length augers as well. But those will just be hard on your 20 and 20. The rest will be home. Top and tail liners, whether it's mid-range or flagship, we've got those for you. Just go right over the top of your stationary knives. Kind of rebuild that, if one of those solid steel fingers or something gets all the way through the machine, usually you leave a hole back there, knock something out, go out the line as it goes right over the top. Or if you guys are running whale tails, we've got whale tails for you, or mid-range tail boards, and we're actually getting ready to come out with horizontal disc spreaders made out of stainless and stuff. We're going to be a little bit heavy duty for you. And then we've got more stuff. We've got stuff for your corner heads, we've got stuff for your 2162s, we've got the Mac on drain can. Stuff like that, people start getting the kill size. We've got plenty of stuff now. We've got the catalog back there, so if you guys need anything about the question, feel free to stop by. Or if you have a question right now, feel free to fire away. And I'll turn it back over to Keith. So he's going to talk to you. I told him I tried to keep it short. I told you I'd keep it short for you. I might have ran long.
We got plenty of them. So we can do stories.
Oh, we're 2 hours speeches coming?
No. Won't go that. So, that's who I am, right? My last year. Yeah. So, a couple things I want to talk about before we can get into automation, things like that, because others bring out the safety, right? Get out there roading these machines. Every year I hear about a combine gets hit by a car. I don't know how that happens, but I know what it's from right here. I know what it's from. running around. Just be safe. There was a gentleman at Pro Harvest when I was in Oklahoma. I got there after the thing happened. I got there after it happened. So when you go up the ladder on the back, right, when you come back down, which way should you always be facing? Where you came up, right? Well, apparently this guy did not do that. And he's got his leg stuck in between the two, one of the rungs up there on the ladder. And it took his leg and put it together. So, yeah, that was that deal. You know, just being cautious around it, cleaning them off the best you can every night. I saw there was in Kansas earlier this week. I think I took a picture. Some guy made a homemade blow off it. He had an air compressor probably at the combine, but he had a pipe that ran down to the front of the cedar house. I sent that up to see if it looked something like that. Probably pretty high. If we did that. So again, just being safe, paying attention to what's going on around you. I know it's real easy, like we're talking about 4,400, you can build up right there. Have somebody, you know, you're sitting in the seat, right? And then have somebody that's going to point ahead to do it. We all know if you're sitting in the seat, because it's running, you can get easy. So get out of the seat, right? Or do something. Just be safe, right? You know, guys running between the seats and do accident and all that stuff, right? There you go. So as we go along here, I like to talk about calibrations. We discussed about calibrations. Okay. Couple ones you can do every year is the inclination sensor cal. It's the best black level service you can get. Okay. Head on and off the ground with an inclination sensor cal. Because it'll do this way, the front and the rear. Do that. So it knows that and affects your automatic seat control. And then it also does your left and your right for your self-leveling sit. So it knows where it's sitting. Okay, so those are two that need to be done every year. The next one is your concaves. Your zero, your concaves out. Everybody doing that? Yeah, it's here. Right? Okay. Every year, right? You should probably do it because the distance between your RAS bar and your concave over time will change. If you let it go long enough, just because the display says it's 25, you go measure it, it may be like 30. That's 5 millimeter difference. That's a lot of things, right? So that needs to be done if you change RAS bars, or excuse me, well, yeah, hard parts or something like that, RAS bars, put new concaves in. You just do it. Okay? It's not that difficult. It's a lot easier with two people, but basically what you do is your two, I call them lag bolts, if you will. You loosen the nuts up on them, and you bring the bolts up, and then you got something in the cab that's tighten the concave, okay? And then I take that third one off right here, put the rotor gearbox in neutral, and just spin it, and keep tightening up until you start hearing tick, 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 okay? And then once you hear that, stop, and then work with your concave just a little bit, and it should go away. Once you hit that point, you can lower your lag bolts down, and then give them 2 turns, full turns down once you make contact with the H-frame, and then tighten that now on the top. That way, when you go to 0, it doesn't hit the actual rack bar, okay? Again, it's a lot easier with 2 people to do it, but it's a good thing to do, okay? The next one is, you may not ever do it, but you might, is your levelness of your concave. So if you look at that little, this back part right here with an adjustable rod, you need to make sure your concave H-frame is level with the rotor, because it doesn't. It sits here like this, right? You want it to match. So the easiest way I do it to check it is I just go to the 6 o'clock position at the bottom of the rotor. and go to the front and measure that distance from rotor skin to the A-frame, and then go to the very back of the concave, do the same thing, and they should be relatively close. Because if it's sitting, so like your rotor, if it's sitting like this, right, that's going to affect a lot of things. If it's sitting like this, that's going to affect a lot of things. So you want it level with the rotor. You may not ever do it. Most of the time, the shop guys take care of that for you. But if you run something through the machine, right, rocks, non-compressible objects, maybe wood, something like that, and they have to go in and replace H-frame or do anything like that, they'll take care of it for you. But most times. The next one is your pinch point, which typically most people don't do, which is fine, unless you've got a 16-row head, high yielding corn, because that's just the sheer volume of material coming through there. So basically what we're saying is your rotor and then your concave, your shift from left to right. So on a 16 row, you may have to move it. So if you're sitting in the seat, you have to move it to the right. Open that area up to get it in. We set it from the factory for 12 rows and below, and most of the time you never change it. But when these guys do concaves or H-frames, replacing to the wear, they'll make sure that's all set for you. Most of the time you never. Okay? So those are critical. Sieve cows. Here it is. Are one I see a lot as well every year. Pre-sieve, upper sieve, all of them. So a gentleman by the name of Troy Crawford, he's got small grains and all that. He makes these. He's my job. But out there they get small grains. And some Hilco units. Have you ever seen a Hilco unit, right? That's ridiculous. I would write it. Scared me to death. It's really this. Whole grain. No, I'm good. Okay. But basically, calibrate your sieves has been the same. We've done it for years, right? Open them all the way up, close them back out, and then bump it open until you get to 6 millimeters. Okay. Now this, it's just a 1/4 inch rod that's bent, and this helps you do that lower sieve. The lower sieve is a pain in the butt to get to. So what you do is just open your upper sieve wide open, and then you can stick this in there. You get to, okay, and then you can do your lower sieve. Okay. Now remember, there are left and right to those sieves. Makes sense? They're all connected. But a lot of times it's easy, right? You just go to the back and you do your upper sieve and you do the driver's side because it's right there. Right? Well, you calibrate that at 6, but then if you the other side maybe at 10. You know what I mean? So check both sides. And that'll see if you got linkage wear or anything like that right there. Do the same thing for your loads. Okay? Because that will affect your cleaning, right? You got one side wider than the other, okay? It will affect your cleaning performance on the machine. So make sure we get those calibrated, okay? Every year. And if you ever change sieves or put new sieves in it, for example, do it, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is those are the main calibrations that I like, that I see a lot of the time, that I see that are incorrect. The rest are, you can get more details, but unless you would like an unloading auger, the unfolding auger, right, you can calibrate that if you replace the auger, or if you're having some problems, you can do pivoting spout cows, you can do all sorts of calibrations on it. Some of them you won't do unless you're having a problem, like CVTs, right? Unless when you turn the feeder house on, it's just bam, you know what I mean? You're probably never. So leave that up to those guys. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is on the, I think it's like model year 23 newer 250s and going forward is, and I've got a picture of it, but when we can walk around and look at it too. I know you guys are sitting down, but there's a decal on the left and right hand side of the feeder house, and it's for your feeder house drum height adjustment. Your side on there? You have to look at it later on. But yours may have different holes. start at 2, and then that ain't enough to go to 3. I would give you a word of caution though, if you go to 4, the furthest in that door will go, and you plug the combine, I would highly recommend before you flip on that fancy grip D-slug, is to go try to get that door back this way. Because what's on the very back of the road? So let's go for picker, plug the combine, and then you go reverse and you the door lock. So, but you may not have look, even in some of the weed I've been in last year, it was terrible weed, we were at only at 3. 7 miles an hour. Pretty bad, okay? What is the best way to see what's actually going on inside your combine? So yeah, look it up. Right. Famous kill stall. Here's a funny thing. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember last year I joked about they're going to change the name of that to a power stall. Because kill promotes violence in use. Guess what? Did it again. It's now a power stall. But it is a great tool to figure out what's going on inside your machine. Yeah, I mean, you're driving, you can adjust stuff, right? But if I'm constantly getting undressed on the ground, right, or I feel like I'm getting a ton of losses, you know, whatever the scenario is, you may never fix your problem unless you do this to see what's actually going on inside your machine. Now, the old 240 days and older, you would drive your machine at the normal harvesting speed, slam on the brakes, turn the key. Very violent. Okay? Anybody done that on purpose? A lot of people don't like to do it. It's pretty hard. But on the 250s and going forward to 260s, it's an actual procedure now. So you go in your toolbox procedure, find it, and it'll say power stall. So basically, you click on it, and it says, hey, you're about to perform power stall. It doesn't say that part. But basically what we did in the software is we just now cut the power to your CVTs. So stop the rotor, right? Stop the key. Because is there a difference between plugging a combine versus stopping a combine and dropping it? Oh yeah, there's a big difference. Okay. So what it does, as soon as you tell it, it will kill the power to the CVT drives. It will somewhat slow you down, but it won't, you know what I mean, throw you up like that. But you still gotta stop. But it'll slow you down, but it won't throw the rear tire like that. Then what you do is you come out and start, we're going to start checking the combine. At the front, always. Lean head, trigger head, or whatever you got, one head, trigger head. See what you got, right? How's that feeding into the machine? Yeah, on the heads you can see it, right? There's your driving. But if you want a more detailed view, stop and drop it. You can see how corn head, right? You can look at your deck plate space. How's that looking for my stops? You'll feel under the stop sizes. Sure. You know, you look and see that with your deck plate space. You can see if you're running your meter speed too fast. Right? Where it's just pulling that down and just slamming that cob against it, right? You can look how it's feeding into your mag gun. Is it, you got your gut feed too fast, or it's building this big pile up front, or it's not feeding enough, right? I mean, you can look at all that, okay? Then you look, come here and look, open your panels up and see. We'll just use corn, because that's the biggest, easiest example to imagine in your head, okay? Is in that, remember I said 100% threshing, 90% separation, right there. So as that corn is going through that machine, as it's rotating through, you should see what? Less and less and less kernels off of that corn cob. If you look here, and you did that kill stall and you got kernels still on the cob, right? Not good. We got to go back up here and see what it is, okay? See what's causing our problem. So, and we should also look at what our cob looks like. Because we ideally would like what? That's what cob. Remember I talked about too tight? Remember I talked about other concave? And if you do it really, really good, it'll split the cob a long way. What if it's too wide? What if it's chunks of cob, right? Because you're allowing that cob to rotate around, but it's got too much room. And it does this number. Bounces around and then chunk of cob on it. And now you've got a chunk of cob with kernels on it because it's okay. So you have to find that fine line of where you're at and see. So you look at that, you look at your separation area, see how that material's coming off. You can see that plugging if you're getting that issue. You can see that. Okay? Which you can see without doing fill color. Taking the back door off. But it's good to do. Okay? Look at our drain pan. As we just talked about earlier, your drain pan distribution, right? The more centered we can get that crop, those kernels, beans, right on the drain pan, the better off we are. Okay? Because a drain pan is fixed. It does not move. It's only when you get the cleans. Okay. So you can see how that material's coming off. And then we can look at our pre-sieve. And you should be able to just follow that material along. Because what's a pre-sieve, right? The first part of the cleaning system. So you only want that open to about the size or maybe a little less of the kernel. Some people say no more than 10% of what should go through. Because what's below the pre-sieve? Yeah. The fan, right? If you open that too wide, you might get a failure once. Second time, you were real lucky. Third time, probably not to be okay. Then you look at your pre-sieve, and then we look at our upper sieve. So that'll tell you a couple things how if we're overloading the sieves, okay, coming off our separation area, or from the front where you're threshing it, you're over threshing it, and it's going through the separation area, okay. We can look at the back of the combine. You can look up the axis of the combine. All right. Go on. Oh, good. Okay. So look up the back of the combine, right? Open your spreaders up, look in the back, and you can see what? If I need to adjust myself leveling sit. And that number's going to vary for everyone, okay? Depending on your yield, your moisture, right? All these things, your size of your head. Do you remember what you run for offset? 5. Yeah, because they're always right side headed, right? Because that's the direction of our road. Do you remember what you got? If you got a 12 row, normally it's that 0.2 to 0.5. But you get 16 rows and then it has to go even more. But that's a great view, right? It's like, man, I'm running 0.2 when I'm still headed inside. Which is going to affect what? The residue pattern coming on the back of the machine. So you're like, all right, well, let me bump it up a little bit more. See what we can. You don't have to do it. So right there is a great story of what's going on, okay? And you can just build from there, okay? Let me go back here. Talked about that. Wow, let's talk about feed rates. Have I tried feed rate? Haven't tried it yet? Okay. So hold on. You didn't like it because it would slow down. And then it takes forever to go back up to speed. Yes. So, what year is your combine? 0. I'm going to say it again, and I know it's going to get a little bad. But everything anymore is what? Software driven. I think it was in late 20, maybe early 24. We updated that and fixed it so it's not new. We actually changed it where, because always one. So the theory is we set it and run it. It should, let's just say 80 bushel measure of speed. When I'm driving along and I get in a low spot in the field, right, the load's going to change, so the combine's going to keep trying to speed up. Then all of a sudden when we get back into those 90 bushel beats again, it should slow down. But most of the time it's slow down. We have to fix that. So now it's more reactive to actually gaining speed back. The point of it is just trying to keep the combine full. We all know if we keep full, it doesn't run very quick. Okay? My world, I mean, I get it, the corn drive down and push that machine. In my world, everything's 90 to 100. Okay? You get it, the corn drive down. Run up 10 before you get 90. Okay? But everything else is there. So, just remember how to use feed rate, remember how you set it up. Okay, there's a couple of things to it. One, it's going to do two of these all by itself. Okay, the first thing it does, without, again, these two will happen automatically, is when you first turn on the machine and you start your separator through your house and you got the head on, it'll do what they call a set point count. Basically, the combine is trying to figure out what the load is, right? You started the combine, got the feeder running, wired the throttle. It's trying to figure out the load that keeps it running. But what's the things it doesn't know? What's it take to drive the machine, right? What's it take to crop it to run? It doesn't know that yet. So it'll do the first one just to get a baseline. And then as you're running, maybe whatever speed you want to run, 3.5 or that number is, okay? Drive out there and press and hold the feed rate button on your multifunctionality. Okay? And then give it a little bit of time. On your 250s, it'll cut, or your Pro 700, it'll come up like a little hourglass. Okay? On the top, left hand side. And give it 10 seconds maybe at the most. And what it's trying to figure out is now I've got the load from the combine and crop in it. Now I know that load. Okay? And then all you do is take your hand off the hand. And let it go. Okay? Now, when you're unloading, we all pretty much unload on the go, unless some of my, but I do have some pretty late customers that don't. It feels brutal. If you're using feed rate and you're going to unload on the go, again, most people do. If you hit the unloading auger button, it will freeze the ground speed of the combine. Whatever speed it was running at that point in time. Okay? Because remember I talked about all these different loads it was looking at, right? The one load it doesn't know is what it takes when you turn your unloading order. So that's what freezes the ground speed of the combine to prevent it from overloading. Now if it does overload, it will slow down. Okay? But whose job is it to fill the drain part? Please give me the right answer. Yes. Drain part guy, I just need you to get up here, match my speed. Don't hit my head. Right? That's all I need you to do. And whatever speed you match me at, leave it there. And I will go to the front of the car, to the back of the car. I don't need some guy looking out the window and doing this. I can see it all the time. Stop. Okay, and usually what happens is if the son's running the drain cart, dad's driving the combine. Sometimes some very choice words can be shot. One radio to the other. That's my speed, and I'll let you know when you can do it. I need you to whip your head back all the time. See it. Just keep driving. Okay? So, in that scenario, all you gotta do before you turn the unloading auger on is just move your hand a little bit, you hear an audible beep. Now you got full control of the combine, turn the unloading auger on, and you go front of the cart, back of the cart, whatever it is. Okay? Once you're done unloading, you can just press that feed rate button one time, and it'll keep it. Now on your headlands, a couple things. Well, one thing is the principles is still the same. When you come out and you move your hand, it'll make a nice light bulb turn, unless you're from Missouri. And you turn around, feed ready to kick off. Get lined up with your guidance, get lined up, rope guidance, whatever you got there, get lined up. And then what I do is I try to get back up to that speed that I was roughly running at. Okay? And then all you gotta do is press your feet rate button and let it pick up. If you try to do it once before you're like in drop or actually ready, and you're doing like 2 miles an hour, running forward, it'll get there, but just try it close. But we have updated all that and fixed it. Okay? So we talked about feed rate. All right. What is this? What's going on here? Yeah, ignore. So let's talk about automation. You guys running it? Say yes, no. Tried it, didn't like it. Not sure what was going on, right? Huh? Running for it? Not me? Okay. Just a second. Okay. A lot. Okay. No, that's good to know. So, we'll just go into automation and talk about it. So, everybody see that? It's a good picture for you guys. I know it's kind of. Oh, is it? Okay, good to know. 2%. All right. So you have your crop type. I got to do it from this side. Your work condition. Now we've added work conditions to these machines now. So we have one for high moisture corn. We have one for green stem beans now that you can choose. Okay. And then you have like default ones, like that's auto default for whatever crop type you're in. Okay. You can also make a work condition if you want. So you like how the machine is performing, and you can say, I want to save that and use it again. If you do that, which is fine, label it in a way you will remember what it is. Okay? Don't label it corn 1, corn 2, corn 3, right? You probably won't remember which one you were using last. And you can only get so many work conditions built up. I think it's like 10 or 15. So if you're trying to make one for every one of your fields, and you get a whole slew of small fields, right? It'll just start wiping them off. It'll just be a rolling list. Okay? Your strategy, which one you're trying to do, right? Performance. Well, yeah, best grain quality, which my Frito-Lay guys run in. Very particular. You have performance mode. Worried about your losses. Motor loss, SID loss, all those two things. Okay? And then you have max throughput, which sounds exactly what it is, what it sounds like. You've got a faster rotor speed, it makes things more relaxed, you're trying to cover some ground. Even when we were out of Oklahoma this year, if someone was coming, you just okay? But I have used it in double crop beans, just to keep that rotor speed up and moving. Double crop beans. And it does work. And you can work it through the rest of your stuff as well. But it does work. Okay? Then you have another one called fixed throughput. I've never used it, but you can drive the combine to a fixed bushel per hour rate. If you don't have enough semis and grain trucks to keep up, for example, or trucks, right? You can drive it 3,500 bushel an hour, or whatever number, right? And it'll speed up and slow down. Try to make it. Okay. Never used it. There's your target max ground speed and target max engine mode if you're using feed rate. If you're not using feed rate, don't worry about it because you're not setting it up. Okay? Don't worry about it. I keep going this way and that. Sorry. Your advanced tab. Couple choices here. You guys watch the screen if you can see it. here are this initial settings. Give it a little delay. You should see current setup and automatic. There it is. So there are differences here. So when we came up with automation, it was the original design was inexperienced operators, right? So remember they had a set of combines, right? If you're on a wheat run and they hired a whole bunch of different guys from like Brazil or different places, and that's the first time we saw one of these. From these, say run. They have automatic. So basically the combine for whatever crop type you're in will start with automation at like initial crop settings. That's the way it is. And then it will adjust accordingly as it runs. The more it learns, the more it will adjust. So what is one thing automation does not control? Adjust. Concave clearance. Okay. Do you think it's up on the system? Yeah. I'm just taking the sports game. I'm not adjusting. Mine. Okay. Concave clearance. So it'll start you out like initial crop settings. Now the other one, current setup, is a little different. I have customers that don't even turn automation on at first. Normally, if you're opening the field, you're wasting time on it. Right? You're backing up, you're doing all this. You're almost wasting. But once they get going, they won't have automation on. They will use it. I like the sit automatic, right? I like the concave where it's at. I like the losses, right? I like how it's fresh, happy. Then what they'll do is go into this page and click on current setup. Then they will turn automation. And they'll use your information as a starting point where you have it. Then go. Okay. Just keep in mind, if you want to do that, which is perfectly fine. A lot of people start doing it, but I just have to say it. If you have automation off and you do all that nice work and man, this looks good, sounds great, right? I'm happy. And you just flip on automation and forget that's on automatic. That's what happens. Then it goes back to initial crop settings. Now you're happy. So that's the difference between the two. You can choose whichever. Automatic eventually will get roughly close to that curve where you were at. But you gotta remember, you gotta do it. So just keep that in mind. There's two choices. Okay? Adjust frequency, basically how fast you want automation to make a change. Anybody remember what I said, how long it takes? Once you go over the 75% fill line, get some yellow, some red, 10 seconds. 3. It's pretty fast. There's just how fast you want to make an adjustment. But at that point, we're saying if you go above the 75%. Go over it. And remember, when automation is making a change, you can see your numbers, right? Turn blue. Where the speed changes, something like that, you can see it change blue. Your page ratings will stay the same, black dots, whatever you call it. You're going to see less dots than big dots. Okay? So you can choose whichever one you want. Mainly, how consistent is your field, right? You got corn, it's probably the same for the most part. Like beans, you got a lot of washouts, dry spots, right? Things like that. You may want to bump it up for that. Threshing condition. Now this is a good one. Come on. There he goes. You have 3 choices here. This one you can do before you even get started. When you're sitting in the field, you're going to start running. Okay? Go out and look. There's corn, and you take your corn cob, you go like this, and not turn us off it. That's pretty easy to stretch. What if you get those cobs that bow into with you? A little bit harder to get off of there, right? Okay, what about the beans? Grab the beans, squeeze in my thumb, and pop up. Pretty easy. just gotta take 2 hands and drain it down. Get that to come out. Pretty hard. So, this is where you can make a determination just immediately right away. This can be adjusted on the fly too. Talk about that. But we always recommend easy. The reason why is that gives automation a larger window for rotor speed to run, so high, and your cage makes more room to run. In and out, in and out. If I go to medium, it's going to cut the low speed of the rotor off, like 50 RPM, I think. And then it'll take your cage vanes and shove them in a little bit further. It's a little harder. Okay? If I go to hard, it's going to cut even more off the bottom of that rotor speed. And it's probably going to have your cage vanes spin straight up. So when you're looking at the display, there might be one block in there, but it may not even be a block in there. It's just straight up. Pull it apart. The thing about this though, that I mentioned, you can do this on the fly. So let's say you're riding along, and because you can do this on the fly, and you'll see another spot too where you can do it. Is you're driving along and the drain car guy's spinning got a lot of grass, right? That's a quick, easy adjustment. Just go from easy to medium, right? And then go from medium to hard. You can do that on the fly. But if you go all the way to hard thresh, and you still have unthreshed on the ground, where do you think you need to go? Right, back up to the front of the rotor to figure out what's going on. And it might be you're right around where you need to put large wire, or maybe add a large wire. There's so many different combinations that you can do. But that's where you need to go back up and see where your problem is. So let's just say you added a large wire in there, right? And I've seen a large wire in the right front, a round wire here in the left front, and I've seen a large wire here on the left too, and a round wire on this one. As long as you're getting the thread, I'm happy with your guy. How about that? Okay? But once you make that change, and even in concave clearance, you go back into here and change it back to easy and start over. Okay? Because again, that will automate your room to work. The rotor and your cage. Okay? Don't forget about what's one thing I haven't talked about on the rotor yet. Talk about the time, right? The cage thing. But what else on the rotor do with time? What's that? What? Time too. Yeah, speed, but what's all actually physically on the rotor that gives more time for threading? Physical time. About this long. Straight separator bar. Okay? We come to 4 from the factory, no matter what. But I've been in scenarios where we had to add in, make it 8 to give us more time. Because what scenario was in last year, we actually had to go small wire in the right front and all the rest of the larger wires. Cage setting shoved all the way down, and then we had to put a total of 8 strict separator bars to give that time to get it threshed out in the front part of that tunnel. That's just crazy. But you won't know that until you probably do a what? Power stall or tilt stall, right? Okay? So, anyway. Max rotor speed, you can set that on your own, whatever you want, but we also got ranges, which we'll discuss in the ranges, okay, when we get to that. Sieve load configuration. Everybody seen that one? Know where that's at? Okay, so I'll show you. Go back, and we'll go to our run screen. So here's our loss funnels. So starting on the, well, I guess I did hear that. It's easier. Sorry. You've got rotor loss, right? Cracks, brokens, tailings, right? Sieve loss. And anybody see that? It's hard to see, but there's a little bar right here on the far right-hand side of your sieve loss. That is just a visual indication of what the sieve pressure sensors are seeing. That's it. You have no input to it whatsoever. It's just showing you what it sees. So you probably saw it, what? If you had it on. You saw it moving up and down, right? go up here and come back down here. That's not left and right. You can pull up left and right on the display. A lot of people do because they're trying to, as they're running, they're looking at sieve pressure left and sieve pressure right. What do you think they're trying to figure out? Your sieve offset, right? And all they will do as they're driving that machine is go and change that sieve offset, trying to get those numbers. And that's all they will do. Okay. Now in the future, that may be coming where we use the sieve pressure sensor to do the sieve offset. That's already on the AM machine. Not in the future it may happen. Okay. But that sieve bar, that sieve load bar will drive a guy crazy as it's sitting there doing this, right? Because it should, right? Are you always consistently running the same ground speed? No. Right? Even with speed rate. So do you think that affects the load coming through the rotor? No. You know, affect what the sieves are seeing? No. So that thing will move. And people are like, it's moving too much. And you're like, here, I'll fix that for you. So the first thing I always do is turn, oh, come on now, off. And then we'll go back to our run screen. Ta-da! It's gone. Can't even see it. Because it's just a visual indication. That's all it is. And if you try to match and do all this and try to get that even, you're going to drive yourself nuts. Okay? Now, automation. There's a reset automation. Get in here and get all bumbled up. Something happens, something's not right. You can factor defaults. Okay. The next one is your sensitivities. There's default sensitivities for each crop type. And they'll come up and change if you go from beans to corn, it'll pop up a new list, right? Anybody ever see that loading crop data come up on your screen? And you change corn to beans? And it's got that really cool button right there that says OK. I'm going to press it right away. I've been asking engineering for a long time to take that damn OK out. Because what it's doing is transferring all those sensitivity settings and all that information from one crop into it to another. So I've been asking to take it off because if you just let it go, it takes what? 10 seconds. That's all it is. But we have seen some instances where if you just hit the OK, sometimes it doesn't copy over the new sensitivity and it acts kind of weird. Automation is kind of weird. So you're going to reset it to start this way. So just give it a little time to do that. So don't hit the OK. Just let it do its thing and it'll go away. And again, these sensitivities are going to be different for each crop type. The next one, if you're using feed rate, you have your feed rate sensitivity. You can turn it up, right, or turn it down. Or you grab it. What's your feed look like, right? If it's pretty consistent, you can probably run on low or medium. Okay? If it's really inconsistent, you can turn it up and make feed rate more reactive. But if you're not using it, don't worry about it. Okay? If you're not using it, don't worry about it. You don't need to mess with it. The next one is headlands. I do have some customers that are worried about their losses when they turn around. Because what are you still doing even though you're turning around? Separating. Because you're not pulling any more in. And you're so clean, right? So this is what this is for. And you can set this, like I think if I remember right, you can go anywhere, a range, or anywhere from -500 on fan speed to +500. Okay. For your sieves, I think it's a 10 either way. Okay. So let's just use an example here. If I have my upper sieve set to a +5 and I turn around, right? See that? When I come out and I go above max working height, if my upper sieve is a 14, right? As soon as I go above max working height, where do you think it's going to go? At 5, it's going to go to the max. You do that for all of them. But then once you get back turned around and get back down into work, it'll go back to where it's at. So you can play with this all you want. Clearly up to you. Status, basically, checking the box, life's good, but we all been around these machines long enough to know that if there's a problem, it'll come up over here on your left side of your screen, right? Okay, so don't worry about that. Ranges, my favorite subject. Ranges are a very good thing in certain scenarios and a very bad thing in certain scenarios. Because ranges allows you to put a min-max on everything automated. Okay. So let me give you a couple. High moisture corn gas. That's starting at ridiculous 34, 30, 32, 36. When we start at 36 every year. He's got a big truck there. But what they will use on their ranges is he will put a minimum rotor speed on, like 400 RPM, because the sheer weight of that prop that's coming through there will actually bog the rotor. And he's running 60. So he will put a minimum of 400 to keep the rotor CDC rocking. Once the corn dries down, he'll let it go. So that is a good one. I do have some customers that bail behind the combine. Out in Kansas, we're starting to get too clean, but they do. Is what they will do in that scenario is they will use the ranges to move their cage bank to hold it back. So you get that straw protection. Straw. Okay, that's a good one. Okay. I've also seen it with the Frito-Lay guys. They will put a range on the max rotor. You gotta be careful with that. If you slow the rotor down too much, where's your bottleneck down? You know? What's between your house the thing that will replace all the time? Transition cone, right? You can create a bottleneck right there, and then it does what? Whereas after transition goes a lot faster, so you're not keeping it moving. Because it just sits there, can't move it going, got a way to turn, right? And then you start getting them holes in there. I've never seen a hole the size of this. Haven't seen one of those yet, but Jason and I were talking about the size of your thumb, maybe a little bit bigger. See those, and the size of this, I don't know what to do. Where's it all like going? So you could do this. I've even seen it corn. I'm still the way I've always done it when I try is take my lower sieve from corn, a little bit wider, and just use my upper sieve. But you can use it for that. Now, let me give an example of bad. Is I had a customer that he told the dealer automation is just not doing what he thinks it should. He says it's moving, but it's just not what he thought. Okay. So I ended up taking it over there and rode around with the guy. And I was talking to him, blah, blah, blah. And we were running, and I was watching automation work, and I could see the things turn blue, but they only turn blue and move a little bit. That's weird. And then after a while, it's hard to see because of the sun. Up in this upper right-hand corner, the sieve loss icon came up, and it had a big red box around it. If you press on it, basically, basically it says, I can't do anything. I'm limited on what you give me to work with. I just can't achieve the target you want. I said, hey, are you using your ranges? He said, oh yeah, I love the ranges. You guys in town. Okay. So we went to his ranges. He had his upper sieve set to a minimum of 14, max of 15. He had that for everything. So we only get automation 1 millimeter work, 50 RPM. It choked it down too much. So we we reset everything, started over fresh, we got comfortable with it, started working really good. You could see some changes going on, and then he told me, started telling me stories about growing up and something new something, and I could tell I didn't do that. But ranges are good, don't get me wrong. But if you go in here and play with them and get them too tight, you can really cause a lot of problems. Okay? Okay? So there's where you can control everything. There's your all that, and you can turn them off if you don't want them. All right. Now let's talk about running these funnels. A very different departure than we had from 240 and older machines, right? We like to run them funnels up there. 240 and older, right? You're the one down. You don't see anything, right? These are a lot different. We try our best to run the funnels roughly in this area. Now, is that going to be all the time? Probably not. But roughly in this area, kind of flirting with that 75% goal. Okay? Because we know if we go across the 75% fill line, automation can try to fix that area. Okay? So that's the way I like to run it close. Really fast. If you're running way low, it's got to go until it gets to it. Right? Okay? So that's what we try to do. That's where our default sensitivities are at. But again, what I'm going to say is don't get too hung up on all the sensitivities. Okay? They will change. You tell the top line. When you put feedback into the count. What do I mean by feedback? If I want to, we'll just use cracks and brokens and I'll get my line. If I'm looking at the grain tank, right? Put my head and look, and I've got cracks and brokens. Okay, now it won't let us do it. It won't let us do it. Normally a funnel pops up, right? And it asks you, is it way too much? Is it too much? Acceptable or more than likely? And depending on where it's at, the combine, because it's gathering all this information off the rotor loss, the grain camera, all that. At that point in time when you press that button, the combine thought, if it's acceptable straight out, it thought it was okay, but what if it's not? Okay, you can change it, right? So, you can just go and change it. But one of the big things, two things. One is when your header is down, what should you have here to show what? You got a green arrow, like your work, head down. If that arrow is not there, automation will not work. Because it doesn't notice. So what the most common problem is your max working height is set too low. And you raise it up to go over something down and then fix that up. And then we'll go back and do it. So that's one. Two is you need to be in drop running when you change it. Okay? You need to be moving. So your cracks and broken, driving along, let your grain tank go. Right? Lock, right? Or I wrote those guys before that I said, hey man, we can clean up the grain tank a little bit more than and he says, how the hell? But you gotta be moving. So as soon as when it pops up and you tell it too much, what'll happen is it's going to change that sensitivity number to make that more reactive to the cracks and brokens. So what you'll probably see is a different change in the rotor speed, gauge things, but also get them under your rotors too. So you kind of got to, but remember, conjugates too, right? Automation with those. Okay. So again, and then give it time to react. So what's going to happen typically is when you hit that too much, hit this, change it, you might see your funnel go up here and kind of flirt in that red and the yellow. If you give it time, it's adjusting to that new sensitivity, and then you'll see it kind of migrate back. Usually about 15 seconds, which I know sounds like a damn eternity. When you're doing 3 miles an hour in corn, whatever speed you're on, that feels like forever. I get it. Just give it some time and let it do it. Okay? Now, let's get into. I told you we're kidding. Let's talk about losses. If we're gonna check loss on the combine, where do we always start? Right, preseason losses. Round out or the head, right? We kind of hinted to it too, right? Your deck plate's facing on your cornet, right? Or how fast you running your feeder out speed, right? Or you pulling them stocks down when they're going like this, right? That's a big, those two are the big ones. Doesn't happen for you. Your MacDon, or your Great Red, whatever. Anybody ever seen somebody, and Brian and I talk about this a lot, is everybody sees somebody go through the field and that wheel is bigger than the wind, where it's going back on top. It's too fast, man. Alright? When you can count the losses, the tunnels in the windshield, the wheel is too fast. Okay. So always start there, see what you got, right? Because we know, like on the 4400s, those deck plates, one's solid, we need to move it. The other one, so you may have to get one like this, right? Okay. So that could be that's an area right there. Then you look under the machine. Can you close the rock trap door and still have no leak? Okay? It's just one over center latch, right? That's what it is. If you got something stuck where that top of that door sits, you got a gap this big, yeah. You guys with me? Inspection doors, right? Your little this one here, your little ones with wing nuts on it for the drain, right? To drain the water out. You leave one of them open, one get tied, it'll just drain from there. You know how I know that inspection door one? One on the back of the water, the vertical water. It takes a long time to put the drain in one of those. I did. I'm not gonna lie. Okay? Not gonna lie. I admit that is. Anyway. The guy laughed. He thought it was funny. It was, but we got it. And once we closed that, well, granted, it was right up. Sample looked good on the ground too. And everything. So I was happy. Alright. So we look underneath the machine, we look at that, we look at different areas, right? We know you wear holes in arbor troughs, right? Things happen, right? Time. So you look underneath there, and then you go to the back of the combine. Okay, let's just assume everything here is good. Okay, I would go smooth. I need to figure out my losses. Right? The two main ones, obviously we talked about all the losses up there that could be lost. Or what? Rotor loss and set loss. Always. Now normally what happens when I go out running around, the guy will take me out and he'll say, man, thanks for coming in. I got a lot of loss coming out the combine. Okay, no problem. Well, how much is too much? This is no lie answer I got from that. No lie. He told me I have so much loss I can see it in the mirror of my house. That's pretty damn impressive. I don't know how you feel right now. But another thing they want to do is they want to walk me out to the uncut drop and go, that's simple. Is that an accurate statement? No. Well, it could be something. But it could be right. So how do we break it up between rotor loss and set loss? Just imagine everything here was good, okay? All the way up here was good. What about the rotor and the set? How do we break that up? Real easy. And the operator's manual says the first action is look down. Actually find it in the operator. What I want you to do, depending on what spreader you have, okay, I want you to make a window. Are you with me so far? Then I want you to drive at the same speed that you're running at. A lot of people at this point get nervous because they drive slower, which the load is going to change, right? You're not driving sieve and your lower sieve, and open them wide open for about 10 seconds, roughly. Okay. If you go beyond that time frame, then I know what happens. You'll know when you went too far, especially if your grandkids. It'll crash. Okay, not allowed. And then I'm going to stop, get out, and look. Should I have any sip loss? Nope. Straight rotor loss. So, let's just kind of go back just a second. We talked about checking rotor loss and sieve loss. When you do that, open your sieves up for about 10 seconds. Before you stop, you would hit this one right here. Now, I won't let us do it, but it should pop up that funnel, right? It pops up again. It says, way too much, right? So and so forth. Pop that window open and then stop. Get out, look. Anybody know what's 1 bushel per acre loss coming out of the rotor with a 12 row 30? I remember it. See one of these? Like one side's for beans, wheat, blah blah blah. The other side's dedicated to corn. So 12 row, 30 inch, you just follow the thing. Some mathematician made it, they didn't ask me. So it's 10.7, I don't know, 10 or 11, whichever one you want to use, is 1 bushel per acre loss. Now 1 by 1 square. Now why is that number so big? I think it's stupid less, right? How wide is 12 row 30 inch? Huh? 30 feet? I'm chucking 30 feet into 46 inches. That's why the number's high. Okay? So let's just say we get out there, we lay it on there, and we have exactly 10 kernels. Are you okay with that? Now keep in mind, we only want to use the separator losses. Because what are we doing? Just have a separator, right? Same thing, that window will pop up, and it says what? Quantify rotor losses on the ground. It doesn't say sieve loss, it doesn't say total loss, it says, oh, your rotor loss. Okay. So you said 10 kernels, that's 1 bushel per acre loss, just an idea. Okay? No? There you go. No. See, that answer's going to vary for everyone. And it goes back to those funnels, what will those funnels say? Is it too much or is it too much? Way too much, right? Or more is allowed, it's never too much. Okay. So that's where you determine it, right? So what you do at that point is you determine what that is. Now I like to leave that window up. That's why I brought it up. Stop. Leave that window up. Because everybody's been around long enough to know that once you get out of the combine, stop, right? Phone rings. Somebody comes out there, they see the guy, wants to see what's going on, right? Whatever. And then all of a sudden you guys in the combine, you're like, what the hell is that? Oh yeah, I'll just keep going. Right? And then you're like, oh, I did all in the window. Okay, or at least maybe that's me. So what you want to do once you've made that determination on the ground, put it back, start harvesting again with that string up. And then while you're running, get back up to speed and then just tell it. As it may, just like the example we did for cracks and broken, where it said acceptable to lay out. Again, same theory. The combine thought at that point that was an okay amount of rotor. But for you, that might have been. So that's where you can go and tell it. That's too much. If it's too much, it's going to go away. Now we're back to give it a little time to adjust, and you might see a rotor speed change. You might see your gauge range move, right? Just give it some time, and then go from there. Okay? Now, we talk about rotor. How can we do sieve loss? We just do simple math on that part. Pretty easy to do. Let's think about it this way. If I get my rotor loss nailed down, what's the odds that my sieve loss will probably drop down to? Quite high. Because where's your sieve loss sensor at? On the back, right? So you have sieve loss coming off the back, and what comes to the control door? Down. can do that windrow again if you want, okay, to verify, or you can just skip to your total one, okay? Because you already knew in your head, right? 10 terminals with that. But then it's also got uniform strip loss on here. So I think it's like one, again, right? So 1 by 1 square is 1.84 terminals. If I know I got the rotor loss nailed down, and then I go back here with this total loss and 1 by 1 square, and I've got 6 terminals, where do you think my loss is going? Simple, right? Granted, everything here is good. Does that make sense? So, great tool, easy to use. They even make special plus things that you can kind of magnets, all that cool stuff to drop. I've got one in my garage. One magnet gets out before the other does. Spins. And that lands right in front of the tire. So, I didn't pay for it. So losses. That's what I'm getting after. If you're driving and you cannot get your losses figured out why you have so much loss, you need to break it down. Figure out what I'm getting after, what I said earlier about this. If you get your rotor loss out, I almost guarantee your SIG loss. Because it goes back to the original theory. The SIGs are at the mercy of whatever things. If you get that nailed down and figured out, those kind of things. Alright. Is it being that? One time? Oh, what's that? Alright. Now, I'll just tell you, we're moving on. We'll note here. We're still going to have the Pro 700 and the 250s, but we're also going to have the Pro 700 Pluses. You guys seen those? Okay. Those are going to be the direct replacements of the Pro 700. So the Pro 700 takes a wrap. That's going to be the direct replacement. So it's bigger. It's the same size as the Pro 1200. And it'll be a direct replacement. You can also buy, assuming we don't have the parts all together, you can buy how many people are ordering. I think there's 3,000 orders for the Pro 700. It's quite a bit. So you can actually, if you want, you can order a Pro 700 Plus kit, put it in your 250. It's only for 250s at this point. At this point. They may do some old legacy, like something older than that stuff, but right now it's only for 250s. But the 260s will come with dual 1200 displays. Factory. There's no option for one, you're getting two. And as they're very well received, all the AF machines have them. We took a long time of testing those. I would say that because they're faster than they have. We actually like the gauge. Put it in there, you run it, as long as you give me a weekly feedback on how it works. And if you like it, you keep it. So, dual 1200s, get bigger display, so you'll have your primary display and your secondary display, so you don't have to go between two displays. Now, like your maps and all your other stuff up here, and you have the outline stuff down here. So, if anybody got a 1200 already? Tractor, it'll look very much the same. So where you set your guidance and all that will look very. The only difference is your automation. Yeah, it will look once you the automation button at the top. Once you get into it, it will look the exact same as that, but newer and better. Setting automation on a 1200 is the exact same. Okay. So there's a couple things coming up. I did want to, we already talked about it with these guys, but we do have a C500 series tornado coming out. Can't get the foldings yet at this time, but they are different row unit design, different deck plate design. Now the actual deck plates move, both of them. And when you adjust them, they both move instead of just one-sided. Okay. It's got a larger diameter auger. So instead of a 17-inch auger, it's 24 inch diameter rows. It looks like, the first time I thought, I was thinking 30, 20. Let's say, yeah, 30, 20. I think it is 20, 20. For that big monster auger, the first time I saw it. But it's a 24-inch diameter. We tested the 16 rows with the AF, and I was at 1 AF and I'm over my 10 AF. But I just want to give you an example. 16 rows, 7,300 bushels an hour. 16 rows, getting 6 miles an hour, and I barely saw a leak from the top. Easy. So 12 rows will do the same thing. But it will be more consistent feeding in the machine instead of that building up pile that you see on the 4400s. We don't have it available anymore. I think that if you're interested, I can get you hooked up with somebody. They may call the speed up kit. Help to speed your truck up. To run a little faster, help keep that plump down. Get it. If you're interested, get a hold of these guys. I know the machine shops are busy. I had to give a put on a couple sets 2 years ago, and they sold out. So they ended up going to the machine shop and gave us rockets. The machine shop makes it. Huh? Yeah. So, if you're interested, look these guys. I think, well, I know the deal with these guys, but I don't say. But I think the last time they told me, like, how we still they were like, well, but you gotta take the auger out. But the guys that did it said it's totally. So anyway, just want to bring that up. Talk about it. See how that works out. And then you got obviously Brian went around these McDonald's. So it's awesome. Brian and I have known each other for what? 7 years. When he worked at Crown Power in Missouri. So anyway, that's all I got. If you guys have questions after eating or while you're eating or something, I can always tell you no. But I think it's anytime.
Well, thank you for coming. The sandwiches, chips, cookies, drinks.